Hey everybody, and welcome to this sketchbook tour. This is the Etchr Perfect Sketchbook. So this is a watercolor sketchbook. You can see that I put a bunch of stickers on here, some more generic ones and a few Taylor Swift related ones. I just wanted to customize this cover a little bit, and it has a little bit of bumps just from moving it around, even though I didn't take it with me that much. Some of the stickers are also starting to come off, so I'm glad that it's finished now and it will mostly be sitting on my shelf for now. So let's head right in. You can see that I started this pretty much 2 years ago. I finished it in April of this year, so I took pretty much 2 years for this. My goal was never to rush through this. In fact, I even wrote "take my time with the book" on one of the goals because I was working on at least 3 to 4 sketchbooks simultaneously. And this, for the longest time, was not my main sketchbook, so I knew that it would take me a little bit to finish it, but I did this little intro page here. I'm pretty sure this was done in my course that is about sketchbooks and about filling sketchbooks, and it's one of the ideas of what you can do with the first page. And then these 2 landscapes were done somewhat recently. I do quite often leave the first page or the first pages for a little bit later on. I had done the intro page for my course, but I wanted to start somewhere a little bit more in the middle of the sketchbook, so it's not in full chronological order, and most of my sketchbooks aren't, so these were posted on my channel somewhat recently. These are done with gouache. And then here I did something that I absolutely hated. I believe that was actually the first thing that I did in this sketchbook. And I glued something over this because I just could not live with that. And I also cannot live with these smudges on here. Those are oil pastels. So that video is coming at some point as well. But let's just fix that a little bit at least. I glued this envelope over it, and in the envelope we have a few things actually. An old business card of mine and just some other miscellaneous type of stuff in here. And I very rarely cover up sketchbook pages that I don't like, but this one just almost ruined the entire sketchbook for me, so this one had to go. And then here are swatches of the Caran d'Ache gouache, the ones in the palette. They are very vibrant, as you can see. And then we finally have some actual paintings in here. This, I believe, was also done in my course. I'm not sure anymore about this one, but it might also have been. This is done with watercolors and this with gouache. And these were done pretty much 2 years ago, so I can definitely see a little bit of improvement in my art since then. I still like these pages. I like that it looks rather loose. But yeah, I can see a bit of improvement. Now, this one was done somewhat recently. This was capped loose on purpose. This is done with the Neocolor 2s. And this one I had done previously. You can see that it has this sheen to it because I put some plastic wrap on it, which unfortunately created these air pockets here, and I don't particularly love that it did that, so I only did that on this page before I actually started to use some fixative on the Neocolors. And this was done plein air also 2 years ago, and I recently went back to this same spot and remembered that I did this, which was fun to do. And yeah, I just wanted to make this fit the other page somewhat, so I kind of kept it in a similar style, kind of. Yeah, Neocolors. It's very rough because the texture of the paper is very rough. And here I think this was also I'm pretty sure started with neon colors, and then I went over it with acrylic gouache because the texture was just too much and I just did not enjoy the way that it looked on the rough paper. You can still see the texture in the background, and I like it that way. I like that there's a bit of texture in the background and then there's less of it in the foreground, so I'm kind of glad that I did that. And this was also acrylic gouache, and I don't know, it's not my favorite, but it's not the worst either, so it's okay, I guess. Then these were done with watercolors, and I think that was also watercolors and then something opaque on top. I think that might have actually been a Posca marker or something like that, probably. This was also done very long ago. I did a lot of pages in here and then kind of didn't continue doing sketchbook art for a bit, and then kind of came back to the sketchbook. So a lot of these things are very old, and then a lot are also very recent, and then there's not that much in between. Now, I don't really like this page spread. I believe this was for a free mini course, actually, or something. I did something similar for a free mini course. I think the one that I did in the course I liked more than that one, and I did this one to promote the course maybe. And I don't really love the way that these look. I don't like that this looks so streaky over here. I used Hemi gouache for this and the cheaper gouache on the rough paper, and then I used the Dorland's wax medium on top. It just created this splotchy effect, and I don't really like the style of this, so this is not my favorite page, even though I like the colors though. Then these were done with Karen markers. These are the kind of watercolor marker ones that you can blend out with water, obviously. And I liked these because it really worked quite well to blend them and create these effects here. And these flowers are rather simple. I think the peacock was actually quite popular, the other one not so much. And then here I used gouache, and unfortunately it rubbed off to the other side a bit here. This is also glued in, so this is not the actual paper. I think it rubbed off on both sides, but this page rubbed on this one even more for some reason. This is a page that I didn't seal. I didn't use anything on top, so it was kind of expected that the gouache would do that. I didn't really feel like fixing it either. Like I could go in and kind of carefully use a sponge, a clean wet sponge, and get rid of that a little bit. And maybe I'll do that at some point, but it just didn't really feel like doing that at the moment. So it is what it is. It's an okay page spread, not my favorite. I really like this guy. I'm not sure if I fully came up with the design for this one. It looks like something that I might have been inspired by someone else's creature for. I don't fully remember, honestly. And here we have some more Karen markers, and here I actually used the wax medium on the Karen markers, and I usually use the wax medium for gouache because it's kind of the only really working way to seal in gouache that I've found so far. But if you have a better way, any fixative that works well with gouache, please let me know. I used it here as well. The thing with the wax is that it smudges the colored pencil that I also used here a little bit. It's not too bad though, and it worked quite well because some of the Karen markers, I think it was pretty much only the green tone. For some reason, even after it dries, it still smudges, and I don't know why. I think it's the only color that does that, so I used fixative on here. I really like the effects that I got here though. And then there's a completely different style going on, I think. Watercolors and gouache, and here I also used the wax medium. You can see that it creates this kind of sheen to it that is still somewhat matte. So after it dries, I think it looks okay. It's not as nice as the not sealed in gouache though, that is really matte, which I really like. But yeah, you can kind of see the difference with the watercolors that are so vibrant. And yeah, there I was just playing around a lot. I think this is the one that I accidentally painted twice or maybe 3 times. I don't know. I did very similar landscapes multiple times in these colors and style. I don't know. I had a weird phase going on there. And this was done pretty much a year ago, I think. That must have been when I got the tickets for the Eras tour or somewhere around that time. And now we're actually going, which is so exciting. The Vienna shows are going to be this week, actually. So when you're watching this, I will be there actually. It will be on Thursday and Friday, and I'm very, very excited. So yeah, I'm losing my ability to speak because I'm so excited apparently. And then on the left side, I am really happy with how this one turned out because it is really simple, but it's still effective in a way. And I think this is the type of style that I have found that I really, really enjoy. So I explore this type of style a lot more in my art now. This is watercolors, and this one must be a mix of watercolors and gouache, I would say. Probably watercolors in the background and gouache on top. And then here we have some more Karen markers, and these are more simple pages. I did these for easy beginner doodle ideas, something along those lines. And I really like how this one turned out, even though it is just such a simple, more of a warm-up exercise or something that's meant to inspire you and get you out of a creative block maybe. So it's not really something that has any real design to it. It's more abstract. But this one I think was quite successful. I don't like this one as much, but I think they look okay together. It is a bit much though, honestly. Then for this double page spread, I used acrylic gouache as well. This was also done a while ago. I think this one was done way more time ago than the other ones, or at least it feels like that's the case. I'm not sure if that's true, but I feel like it is. So this sketchbook, just not chronological at all. I really like how this one looks. I like the way that I did these blends, especially with acrylic gouache. Making these gradients is harder because it dries really fast. So I like the way that that turned out. And also this one here, I could have taken this a lot further, but it just takes forever. Like you could spend so many hours on this. And at some point I just run out of patience and I have to call it a day. This is all inspired by Danish pastel decor, which was very much hyped. And I think it's already gone, that hype. So I'm glad that I didn't really actually buy anything for that hype. But I still think it looks really cute though. And then here we have gouache again. I think everything here must have been done with gouache. These little creatures. And also, I think probably everything you see in this sketchbook will be on my YouTube channel in some type of video. This was, I think, one video, and this must have been in one of the simple ideas videos too. Looking at this now, honestly, I really like the way that this looks. I remember when I did it, I was not happy with it. I had something else in mind and I didn't really enjoy the way that this turned out. But looking at it now, I actually really like it. I think it's really satisfying, and I don't often like my abstract art, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Now I like it. I'm rambling. Now, next one. This one, I think it's such a simple one, but I still really enjoy the way that this looks as a page spread, and I enjoy the colors. This one is watercolors, and these are Karen markers. So it's a different medium, but they still work together quite nicely. And yeah, these must have been for another one of those simple ideas videos, but I really enjoy the way that these look, honestly. then this might be one of the few pages here or page spreads that I did off camera. So these I just doodled on in my off time. I might have actually done this during the time when I didn't do YouTube. I was gone for about half a year. So I think those were done in that time. I still really like this one, and I recently did something with this idea in another sketchbook. I really like this idea of the cat in the plant pot. And yeah, just doodled around here. Not really a finished composition or anything. Yeah, now we're going into the ones that I posted somewhat recently. I still don't like this one, unfortunately. I think I hate it less than when I originally did it, but I still dislike it, and I can't even 100% tell why. I think it's the blue, honestly, because I played around with the thumbnail because I really, really hated the way it looked, and I made this blue slightly lighter in the thumbnail, and I like it much more that way, so that might be a reason. And it also wasn't that popular, so I think it's not that good. Probably it's a bit too busy. Maybe if I did something like this on a bigger scale, it would work better, but I've done a bunch of underwater scenes since then, and I liked all of them more than this one. And here I did something that I actually really like. So this page spread gives me a weird feeling because something that I really like and something that I don't really like. But this kind of started this series of these witchy doodle ideas, and I really took my time with all of the details on these. And then I did this one, and then I did this one. And I especially really like this page spread. I think this looks really, really nice. And these took, I think this one took 4 hours, and I don't fully remember, but it must have been something similar here, which is quite a lot for one page only, but still not that excessive, honestly, for something that is a bit more detailed. I could have added even more details to these, but yeah, at some point you just have to call it done. I really like this one still. This is another one like the one with the tree, like this one. I mean, it has a completely different look to it, but it gives me a similar feeling. This is also very simple, but I feel like it still works. It has all of the texture, all of the color play, and the variation in it. And so I feel like it works. It doesn't look boring, and it's still really simple. So I really like this style. And these were granulating colors as well, so it added even more of the texture. And then I used the same colors here as well. This is a bit more overworked. I was struggling a bit with that one, with trying to keep it loose, but then I didn't fully like it, so I kept on adding more. I think it looks okay. And then we have these ones that were also done with the Neo colors. Here I was using the Neo colors exclusively, and here I also used some colored pencils for some additional details. And yeah, I kept these somewhat simple as well. I think this one is a bit too simple for my taste. I think it's a bit lacking. If there was a little creature or some type of subject in it, I would probably like it more. I think this one is a bit more successful because it just has a bit more details. So I'm still trying to figure out the balance of simplifying something where I think that it has a nice style, but it's still interesting enough. And then we have the last page already. This sketchbook doesn't have a lot of pages, honestly. The pages are pretty thick. You can see that I finished this in April and now it is August, so it's taken me a bit to post this, mostly because I hadn't posted all of the paintings that I did in here. This one was the last one now that I posted, and now I can finally post this flip through. And I have also done another sketchbook that is pretty much done. There's just one page missing, and I still have to post about that one. And then there's gonna be a tour of the other one as well. And then there's also a sketchbook that is maybe 2/3 done. So this was not the only sketchbook that I worked at the time. But I am pretty happy with how it turned out overall. It is a nice sketchbook. I played around with it a lot. I allowed myself to play around with the paper, even though this is a really expensive sketchbook. Personally, I think that it's a bit overpriced unless you really get it on sale. I recently did a video where I compared all of the watercolor sketchbooks that I've used before. So if you're interested in that, then go ahead and check that out. And if you liked this video, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll hopefully see you again next time. Goodbye!